Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Finovate podcast. Joining me today, we have Yishay Trif, the CEO of MoneynetInt. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you, Greg. Thank you for having me with you. My pleasure.
Excellent. So to get things started, we always like to give people a chance to just kind of introduce themselves. Can you share a little bit about your background and what MoneynetInt does?
Yeah, of course. My name is Yishay Trif, and I'm the CEO of MoneynetInt. MoneynetInt was originally formed in 2005. We changed a little bit of focus back in 2010, and we actually built ourselves as a fintech company, even before anyone knew what is fintech and how to treat it. We actually built a platform when worldwide clients can log in, do a KYC procedure, and start getting their virtual account and start trading actually worldwide. As I said, we've been doing it since 2010. And we like to think about ourselves as a unique in the personal relations that we have with our clients and the personal and unique services that we also offer our clients. Most of our clients are SMEs, small, medium enterprises that actually think global and act local. This is our motto: think global, act local. Always saying if you're dealing with two currencies, two countries, we are the right point of contact.
Great. And certainly I can relate. I was in Fintech as well in 2010 when people were trying to figure out what that acronym is really going to end up meaning, right? You've seen, I'm sure, quite a bit of adjustment in the space over the past decade. And I want to focus in on, these small and medium enterprises, SMB in the US, SME outside the US, because this is something which, we've seen all of a sudden kind of explode this year. And just to give a little bit of background, we run the Finovate Awards. We'll be doing our third version of it this time around. And we had dramatically more nominations submitted in our small business category, or small business solution category, I should say, than we have in either of the previous 2 years. And if you look at what's happening on the companies who are on the Finovate stage as well, we're seeing more attention paid to this space, which I think is a really good thing. It looks like an area which is ripe for disruption, which has kind of been ignored maybe to some extent by Fintech so far. And we're now seeing Fintech really finally turning attention towards solutions for small businesses in a way that, a lot of us were dying to see a couple of years ago. What do you see as the primary factors that are really driving this kind of Fintech focus on the small business space?
So it's behind your words. You miss just one major thing that happened, a small thing, a small thing that happened in the last year. And that's the pandemic. That's I don't know if you heard about it, but I
think I read an article at one point.
You read an article. So the pandemic eventually, if you look on a sector that actually benefits from that, and I'm saying it with, again, not to hurt any hard feeling, any things of anyone, and that's the SMEs who works online. Eventually, most of us were stuck at home. Most of us were just looking things to do. And when people have nothing to do, they spend. And when they spend, they're actually feeding the lower structure of the pyramid, and that's the SMEs. They buy on online shops, they buy that. And the fintech industry is actually serving those SMEs. So by demand, as the SMEs are growing and have more demand for their products, the fintechs companies that lies above them, naturally, it's for the nature. They are gaining more strength. They are gaining more parts in the economic world. Hence, they are making ourselves much more crucial in the food chain of the economy.
Yeah, no, I think certainly we saw a lot of people who maybe had other jobs that they lost kind of turn towards, can I set up my own online shop? And certainly we saw people making masks, right? And all of a sudden this industry popped up where you couldn't log on to any online retailer, Etsy or Amazon or whatever, without finding thousands of people who are trying to make and sell their own masks. And I think a lot of them had big success.
And each one of them, of those shops, needs a payment processor, hence Fintech. He needs a banking platform, hence Fintech. He needs someone who will market his products, hence Fintech. So you actually see how someone idea can actually feed the whole pyramid on top of him.
Yeah. Well, I think another one that I want to get your opinion on, because I think part of what happened as well was all of a sudden, this major component of our economy across the world was threatened, right? All small businesses had a very challenging year, particularly, things like restaurants or really local businesses, which do employ a huge number of people. They're responsible for a massive amount of our overall revenue as a country. And all of a sudden, you have this really quite terrifying prospect of what happens if all of these businesses fail at once. And I think, you saw governments engage in a lot of different ways around the world, but the end goal was very similar, trying to make sure that these businesses are supported, that they don't disappear because of an outside factor like the pandemic. And so we saw governments getting involved. I think we also saw a lot of banks kind of recognize, this is a potentially major source of revenue for us. If all these customers disappear at once, this is a really terrible thing. And so what are your thoughts on the extent that we all kind of realized that the vulnerability of small businesses and kind of rushed in to support? Maybe this is a slightly too magnanimous viewpoint, but do you think there's some truth to it?
I think like any society and any economic, eventually what is the main key in the main infrastructure of economic is the small, medium businesses. There's very few very high level companies, but the main companies is the restaurants, is the SMEs, is all the things who's actually holding the working labor, who needs to bring food to the table. And once this is the fear was that this is gonna be disappearing, because no one can live with the high level companies like the major companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and that's fine. But the main part of the economic is the medium-sized businesses who actually hold the economic. It's the restaurants, it's the local restaurants, it's the pizzeria, it's the online shop who sells shoes. Those are the main, even though they are usually the silent one. You don't hear about them. You hardly can hear them complaining because no one is. You can hear them voice, but eventually everyone understands that this is the infrastructure of any growing and successful economy. So the government made a lot of effort to maintain those businesses worldwide. You see loans and grants that were given to all those businesses. Like I was asking myself, where was all this money before the pandemic? They gave so much money to those businesses. So where was it before? Where did you hide it? And they actually understand that if they're not giving it now, they will lose the infrastructure of the economic world in each country, not necessarily in the specific, in each country. So they actually make sure that those businesses will thrive and will work, and they have somewhere to return after the pandemic. And while doing it, they actually support also businesses like SMEs or businesses who works online, because as you probably know, a lot of businesses move to online. If you have a shop and before the pandemic you didn't sell online, now you're selling online. While doing that, and I'm going back to my previous point, you need someone to give you the products that you need in order to maintain an online business.
Yeah, well, certainly, demand spiked for those types of solutions, and I think people who were in that space ahead of time were in a really good position to be able to all of a sudden make it, get a ton of new customers onboarded. And I think, the other thing that we've always seen, we've seen this pattern unfold in fintech before, where all of a sudden, once you have a major need, you have somebody who's out there, pulling in customers like crazy, you all of a sudden have a lot of other people kind of looking and saying, oh, hey, how come we can't do that too? How come we aren't able to offer those types of solutions? And you've seen, I think, an effort on the part of banks, on the part of fintech innovators, to really come in and try and understand the space a little bit more than they had done, and also to try and offer products and solutions to meet the challenges of the people that are there, which I think is also, again, a really good thing, perhaps overdue, right? Again, to your point, where was the money before? Why couldn't we do this, in 2017, 2018? It was still really challenging to be a small business owner in those years. And
exactly.
But now you finally have these solutions. I want to come back and touch on something else, because I think it's easy to miss this. When we talk about small businesses, most of us think of kind of very local businesses, very, around the corner restaurants or small shops or things like that. But one of the things which has come up a couple times so far in this interview has been looking at really the more international nature now of these small enterprises. And I think that's a piece which is really difficult sometimes to conceptualize, but so many of them are actually doing business in other countries. Can you talk about the challenges, and also, where, again, fintech is able to help solve some of those challenges? Because I think there is an opportunity here that a lot of people don't really see.
Yeah, of course. Let's start from the beginning. I'm sitting at home. I used to have I'm based, let's say, Germany, and I used to have a shop just down the street of selling shoes. Now that my shop is closed and I want to start selling online, I have the manufacturers doing it in China. As anyone knows, everyone knows, there's one country who didn't get affected so much from the pandemic. So the manufacturer, the factoring are still working in China. I have the manufacturers who work in China or any other world, but I don't have anyone to sell it. So I open an online shop, Amazon or any other platform. I'm saying Amazon because I'm guessing that's the biggest. And while I'm doing I'm realizing that actually now I can start selling also to the US, to Brazil, to Argentina. Why limit myself to Germany? So now I need to find a way how I'm selling in profit to the US, to Brazil. And this is exactly where the fintech world helps you with the prosperity of your business. Because once you're trying to sell to the US, okay, so you need a local bank account in the US, or you need a local bank in Brazil. And this is exactly where we come as MoneynetInt and also as a fintech, as a help, saying, okay, I will fund you a local bank in the US when you can accept fund locally without the need of international transfers. You can do an FX conversion into euros because you're basically you're Germany, but we can also help you paying directly to your manufacturer in China in order to order more shoes. And this goes with the US, this goes with Latin America, this goes with APEC. Basically, you have created yourself an international shop from your comfortable couch without even the only thing you need to move is your fingers. So and this is exactly the whole idea of how fintechs contribute to the prosperity of SMEs, because you can actually work from your comfortable house and do much better than you've done with your high street shop in Germany. And this is something that currently happens. We and MoneynetInt are doing it. We and MoneynetInt are very proud on finding the, as we call it, the edge for those little shops, because anyone can give you a solution. A lot of companies can give you a solution to sell in the US, but if you need the edge to sell in Argentina, Brazil, or even in Russia, so we found ourselves that this is our specialty. We can give you the edge, so you can make a little bit more than your competition, because let's face it, you're not the only one whose shop was closed and opened, like you said, an online shop. Having said that, I think that the next step in fintech, while now we are supporting the payments, is going to be the more to involve it and more the small loans to those kind of businesses. I see it gradually growing, meaning because if you want to expand your business, you need a loan. And who knows you better from the company who actually process your payments? Who knows your ability to pay the loan that you will get more than the company who supports you for the last 2 years? So this is a new product that I see. I think that we will see more and more in the next couple of years, also to support those businesses in terms of not large, small loans, in order to even contribute more to the prosperity of their businesses.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's great, and there's a lot to unpack there. But I think ending on this idea, who knows you better? I think this is one of those areas that we've seen
exactly.
Fintech really make a big impact, not just in this space, but in every space. We now have the ability to offer these kind of personalized solutions, these custom solutions that are designed for specific situations, specific companies, specific individuals. And this level of personalization, this level of customization, is something that is really interesting. And obviously, the small business community has been kind of crying out for this. And it's really excellent now to see them starting to get access to some of these tools and some of these products that understand really the challenges that you face, not that small businesses face, but the challenge that you face, and try and figure out how they can come and help be a supportive aspect of that. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time, but this has been a really interesting conversation here. And I think from both of us, it sounds like, we both want to see this trend continue, this idea, let's get more fintech pointed at SMEs. Let's get more personalization, more customization, and help people who all of a sudden find themselves in a position of having, international small businesses, get them the help that they need to grow, because, it is obviously a great opportunity, but there are also a lot of other people who are trying to get out into that opportunity as well. So, again, I've been talking with Yishay Trif out of MoneynetInt. Really appreciate having you on the call here today, having you on the interview.
Thank you, Greg. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@Finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.